how many times have we had innovation at our fingertips, but either we don't have the representation or we underestimate ourselves and think that, you know what, this is nothing. We don't if you don't have that encouragement, if you don't have those opportunities, the resources, even just having the people saying that, you know what, you can do this. Can you imagine what we can create, what can come out of these communities that haven't come out yet?
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I Have Something to Say, where subject matter experts are unafraid and unapologetic about sharing their perspectives regarding issues that impact our lives. They speak up because basically they give a shit. So if you're tired of canned answers and want to finally hear real people cut through the BS and talk about real issues, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Sami Heyman Marrero from Urbenter, and behind our mixer is our producer, Chris Majoka from UdoU. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of I Have Something to Say, and I'm so excited to have my friend, Rose LeJiste. How fancy. With us today. And Rose, I'm so excited to have you. I was just told by a friend that this is the third year. This week is the third year we're doing this podcast. And so thank you for joining us on a third year anniversary. Yay!
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me and congratulations. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to have you because I know that we've been, right, bouncing around with dates.
Yep.
You're very
Yes.
busy. I
Yep.
know. I'm like a chicken without a head most of the time too, so I'm just happy we're able to carve out this time, right, to really talk about what you're working on, about your industry, right, about how you advocate in your industry. And we're going to dive right in. But you are the president, owner, CEO of RL Engineering and Tech Solutions, and you're in the tech space. I mean, your background is engineering. You decided to move out of the corporate sector and dive into entrepreneurship. And I'm all ears. I just want to know how you landed where you are from a business standpoint.
Yeah. So, even back from the tech perspective, when I first came to college, I went to UCF. I actually came in as a finance degree. And the reason was because the high school that I attended, they pushed finance and business. But when I came in, moving away from my family are Caribbean, from Haiti. And, growing up, there were certain jobs job titles that were approved, if you will. And it's like lawyer, doctor, engineer, accountant, there's different things. So, finance kind of fell into that approved category, if you will. But I wasn't too sure if that's what I wanted to do. I know I liked money, I liked math, but was this really what I wanted to do? I had the opportunity to hear this amazing woman speak. Her name is Dr. Pamela McCulley. And listening to her, this woman was Black. She was an industrial engineer, first Black woman in Oklahoma to get I think a master's and a doctorate in industrial engineering. But what she spoke about was exactly what spoke to me in terms of what industrial engineering was. It was a problem solver, solution developer. It was all about, finding that solution. And that's always been me my whole life. I am that solutions person. I want to always find a better way, more efficient way to do things. And so that's how I got into engineering. Worked out at Kennedy Space Center. So after I graduated, I was able to get an internship with a small engineering firm who hired me on when I graduated, and their largest client was a large government contractor at Kennedy Space Center. I worked with them for about 3 years, and then I got hired on by our client, which was again a large government contractor, and I worked in Kennedy Space Center for another 13 years, where
Wow.
NASA was our client. Um, uh, it was an amazing experience, but it was also a horror. Let me not say horrible. It was
Right.
a very
Challenging.
difficult experience because, of course, you know Sammy, but
Hmm.
for others who are listening, it was a tough environment to be in as a Black woman, as a young woman, as a female, and
Hmm.
I'll even add on as someone where I am the first daughter of immigrants, Haitian immigrants to this country. There was so many micro aggressions and just issues and things that I had to battle like every day. It was literally I had to, I felt like I was going into a war zone every morning riding to work that I had to prepare myself for.
Hmm.
But I also say it was a great experience because it built me strong. That's how I see it. To where anything I can have anything come up, and I feel like I'd be able to handle it because I'm like, if I could survive 13
That
years over there,
exactly.
exactly, I could take
Yeah.
on anything. I got this.
Exactly.
So um, during that experience, one of the things that I told myself is I don't want to work for anybody.
Mm.
I There were certain things that were done that I wish they were done differently. I wish that certain people would advocate for others. And I just started seeing things that I want to change. Just like I said, I am that solutions person, that problem solver. And so you know how it is with us. If we see something that needs to get resolved, sometimes what we do is we're like, we'll do it ourselves.
Hmm.
If we can't fix it, if it can't get fixed, we'll do it ourselves. And so that's kind of where I got into. I'm going to be my own boss, and I'm going to create the environment that I want for myself and also anybody who works for me and anybody I partner up with. And so that was in my mind, and I made my plan. I'm a planner. I made my transition plan, and everything was just set up to where it just worked. Everything was perfect. And last year, in 2021, early about January 2021, I made that leap. I had everything set, and then I became a full time entrepreneur, and I have not looked back since. I can't see myself going back, and I'll never say never, but this is my calling, and this is where I need to be. And so, my business is an engineering consulting firm, an engineering and tech consulting firm. But not only that, I'm also the executive director for a tech nonprofit. So I love tech. I love the opportunities it brings to underestimated communities, and I feel like I'm doing what I need to do in terms of with the nonprofit that I ed by and also with my job. It's just having that those two work together to improve to build this ecosystem and also get more of our communities into this ecosystem so they can now see opportunities, equality, equity that they need to see in order to change their lives.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
thing is also just preparing for the future. We're
Oh, yeah.
looking that our, community or meaning society as a whole is becoming
Yep.
more and more diverse. And so
Exactly.
we need representation. We need to develop this pipeline of diverse talent from our youth,
Exactly.
children, everything, and provide them with almost like a roadmap. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's what you're
Exactly.
advocating for,
That
right? Is
is
creating a
that is
roadmap
exactly.
for
Yeah.
entry. So it's not like a second thought. It's
Yeah.
not like happenstance. It's
Yeah.
not, no, it's a planned and intentional effort, right?
I
To
love
to
what you
make
said.
sure that black and brown
Yeah.
talent gets into tech.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love how you said that. That is exactly it because everybody's journey is going to be different. But having
Mm-hmm.
that roadmap, as you say, allows people to see, okay, if I'm here, this is where I need to go, and here are these resources that I need to have that are out there that I can take on. um, one of the things that we always hear when we talk about, especially when data, is how far back we are compared to the white man, if you will,
Hmm.
the white population. When it comes to finances, the black population and wealth is way, behind.
Hmm.
Everybody's way behind. So how do we change that? Um, tech, the things that are happening in tech are so new that we have the
Hmm.
opportunity to actually be at the forefront,
Hmm.
of something that's taking off. And one of the things that I know I don't want to see is, I don't want, when we're talking about wealth, we're way behind. When we're talking
Hmm.
about this, we're way behind. No, I want us to start being, again, at the beginning, at the forefront, right in the front, leading the way in some of these innovations that are coming out, in within tech. And so, and the other thing is, for me, I believe that innovation happens in a space of um, need. It happens in a space um of necessity. And
Hmm.
where do you find that? You find it in our communities, because and I firmly believe that innovation is overflowing in our communities, because that's where
Hmm.
it grows. And so
Hmm.
why would you not want to um, invest in those communities? When we
Hmm.
hear about these different things, you hear about, in Africa, these young individuals from a village, that doesn't, may be in poverty, building something because they needed it. It was
Right.
something that they needed. They're building a battery, something to power phones, but it's using like water, or it's using something
Yeah.
ridiculous. It happens because they needed it, not because they were bored.
Hmm.
So that is what we need to, and then the same thing happens here in the US, and that's what we need to invest in. So
Yes, it's so funny that you say that when you're talking. First, in Puerto Rico, we have a saying. I'm going to translate it. It
uh-huh.
says that necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Yes,
That necessity is the
exactly.
mother of invention. And hearing you speak, it reminds me of, remember, back in the day when your TV said, I grew up in the country in Puerto Rico, and it wasn't that you took a hanger and you plugged it
Yes,
in and then you
yes,
tried to,
yes,
it's that, right? Is that
yes.
ingenuity, right? It's
It
like,
is.
okay, this
Yeah,
sucks. We have a problem here. How do we
exactly.
fix it? Of how do we fix it, and what do we have at hand? What resources do we have that we
Exactly.
might be able to figure out how to fix this problem, right? And so, yeah.
So, Sammy, how many times have you seen something come out in tech and say, "We did that"? That's not new. You get what I'm saying? It's like, that's not new. It may be new. Maybe they fancied it up and made it, because you're talking about the wire hangers. I remember doing the foil. When the antennas wouldn't work, and you put foil and have that, and that would help the signal better. And there was just different things. There's things that we've done, and then you turn around and it's like, somebody else comes out with it, and you're like, man, I did that when I was younger. And so, how
Yeah.
many times have we had innovation at our fingertips, but either we don't have the representation, or we underestimate ourselves and think that, what, this is nothing. We don't, if you don't have that encouragement, if you don't have those opportunities, the resources, even just having the people saying that, what, you can do this. Can you
Hmm.
imagine what we can create, what can come out of these communities that haven't come out yet? So
Hmm.
every time
Yeah, I
I
just
get
feel
so
like it's a
excited.
lot of untapped
Yes,
discoveries, right, and
that's exactly what it
inventions
is.
that could, that could really benefit and have a huge impact in the community. And I agree with you that sometimes we underestimate ourselves, but I
Yep,
feel also because we've been in a world, right, where we're operating in these
yep,
environments where we
yes,
receive a lot of
yes.
people opinion or
Yeah,
comments
you
that
do.
are rooted in
Yep.
underestimating us too, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, of course. That's exactly where we're getting it from. I mean, we don't nobody's born with lack of confidence. Nobody's born with underestimating themselves. It's something that winds up being I don't even want to say taught, but kind of beaten into someone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's even that. I mean, there was a study done. I just read something, I'm trying to remember what it was, where they talked about um, within those communities, they underestimate. It's not even they underestimate. There is no estimation. It just doesn't exist. It
Mm-hmm.
just, and that's sad. That's horrible. And so, how do we change that? And we have to
Yeah.
change it one person at a time. I mean, it's going to take a community, but we need at least one person to push that forward, and then and keep advocating at different levels. I mean, people are needed everywhere, and I'm hoping that I'm starting to see that now, and I'm excited and I'm elated, and I'm just wait. I can't wait for the different things that happen. But we definitely need more advocates, and we need more people who are just representing.
Yes, and I feel like the as business owners, we're afforded with that freedom, right, to show up
Hmm.
and be activists
Yes,
and
yes,
advocates, right? And so, but
yes,
it's hard to find fellow entrepreneurs that don't want to like risk,
yeah,
rubbing people the wrong way, or
yep,
but at the end of the day, I just feel like, because it happened to me, right? We're not
yep,
afforded with the luxury of generational wealth, right? My parents were public servants, right? and
hmm
and there and it's a wonderful thing, right? Dedicated, just
hmm
this idea of just keep your nose in the ground, do the work,
hmm
retire after 30 years, and it's all going to
yeah,
be good, right?
yeah,
But so it's hard to find models of entrepreneurship, in our communities. But then once we can provide that for our kids, now the next step is also being able to build that wealth to be able to afford them with the
exactly.
luxury of research and development, right? Because I don't know you, I mean, you
Yeah,
planned it out, which is
yeah,
great, right? Me, I had no
uh-huh,
choice. I had to put food
yeah,
on the table, but I'm sure that in the
yeah,
beginning, we're all in that same
exactly.
category, right? It's like,
Yep.
okay, revenue, we need revenue to pay the bills. We
Yes.
need revenue to
Yes.
pay the bills.
Exactly.
And so we don't have that safety net, of daddy or the uncle or whatever, or
Hmm.
trust,
Hmm.
right, that will
Hmm.
afford us that freedom to explore and do a competitive analysis and build our
Hmm.
business plan and really do all of that foundational
Hmm.
preparation, all that preparation before launching a business, so that way you can kick it off on sound ground, right? And
Exactly.
so yeah.
Exactly. But what you say is so important for people to understand. Even while we advocate, most times people of color are trying to build their empires. I call it building my
Mhm.
empire, building the wealth, building all that I can to have that dynastic wealth happen three generations down. I am building that first generation of it. And so even while we work and do that, we're also advocating. At the same time that I'm building up my business, I'm also working the nonprofit sector. And it's difficult because we're trying to,
Mhm.
and we do it not, we do it because again, it's needed. And so we can't sit there and wait, 20 years down the road when we've built everything and now we have free time. We have to build it now, because if we don't, who else is going to do it? And what's going to happen to the generation now who needs it, or the people now
Mhm.
who need it? And so
Yeah.
you're right. We have to work. We're building our empires, but we also are advocating, and doing and and speaking up for those who can't. And it's a tough journey. It's a really tough, exhausting journey, but we do it because we have to. We do it because we need to.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. And I got to tell you, it's refreshing to me
Hmm.
anyway to get invited. Like we just recently went through
Yeah.
this experience here in the local city and county, right? By friends that are also fellow entrepreneurs, and then get to meet you, for example, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Servola and others that are of the same mindset, that they
Mindset. Yes.
understand, yeah, we need to build our businesses, and maybe they won't scale as quickly as
Yeah.
they could, right? But it's because we just can't ignore what's going on around us, right?
Of
And
course.
we have to break that cycle of just me. I got to do it for me and my family, and we really need to, focus on elevating everybody around us, because it's this realization that if you're okay, I'm okay, right?
Exactly.
If you're not okay, I'm not going to be okay either, right?
Exactly.
It's like
Because
eventually we're all interconnected.
exactly, because we're going through it right now. And so we're trying to go and create opportunities for those who are coming behind us. As
Mhm.
we go through our journey, our entrepreneur journey, or as we have gone through our entrepreneur journey, we see what's happened. Like we see the things that we run into, we see the gaps, we see the issues. And so what do we do? Do we, and this is what I think some of the mentality is that needs to get fixed. There's some folks who say, well, I had to go through it. Now you have to go through it.
Mhm.
And it's like, that doesn't help anybody. So you can either do that, or you can say, I don't want anybody else to go through this. The next
Mhm.
person behind me might be my daughter.
Mhm.
The next
Yeah.
person behind me might be my friend. I need to do what I can to fix it so that way their journey is not as rocky as ours were, as we try to go through and figure out, okay, how exactly do we do this? How exactly do we get this, business certification? Well, because I have to prove 20, 50 different ways that I'm a black female. Or why do how do I do this? Or why is this needed? Or why is this process um not a smooth process? Just different things that we see and we encounter. And so we've chosen to fix it now versus just leaving it alone and saying somebody else is going to fix it.
So, from a business standpoint, and also from an ED of Black Orlando Tech standpoint, right? So, we're
Hmm.
talking about the digital space, technology,
Yeah.
this industry, which is massive, right? And
Yeah.
and I mean,
Yeah.
it could go in any direction. There's so many things within the industry that
Hmm.
people can, gravitate towards, right? And
Yeah.
really be successful. What do you
Yeah.
feel, in a general sense, are some of like the biggest barriers for people of color to be able to enter right into the tech space, and and start gaining traction, right? Whether it's as an entrepreneur or as a professional in this space.
The biggest thing is understanding what tech is. There is
Mhm.
a misunderstanding that tech is coding, that tech is just coding, that tech is just building a robot, that tech is um so incredibly difficult that only certain people can get in, and that's not true. Tech, especially we've shown this through our programs. Tech is very easy to pivot into, and I'll say, especially for those who are, we have individuals who pivot into tech after working in another industry for years, and what I always tell them is. That actually is a plus. That's a positive, because now you have 10 plus years of this, in healthcare. Let's say healthcare is one of them, and now you're going to be an expert in tech. So now you are what I consider a unicorn. You are someone who has so much experience and expertise in this area, and now you're becoming an expert in this other tech field, and now you can merge them together because tech intersects everywhere. Tech is
Mm.
everywhere, period. And so now this intersection that is so that not a lot of people can even understand, much less have the experience of both. You are now a unicorn there, because not a lot of a lot of people are just usually are like, I'm going to only focus on this. They can be in tech but not know the finance industry or know the
Mm.
education industry. Now we have people coming in who know both, and now
Mm.
they're able to leverage that. And so that's the biggest thing. That the biggest thing is understanding what tech is, understanding how you can leverage what you already have. A lot of people think and look at their what they lack, and it's like, no, flip it around. Look at what you have and leverage that. So that's number one. Number two, money. When it comes to entrepreneurship, you know what? Let me take that back. Number two is education. When I say education, education meaning understanding, especially as an entrepreneur, the business language. As a professional, if you're going into a tech career and it's a different type of career for you, understanding how to navigate that ecosystem, if you will. So education is another big thing. And again, it's not education meaning a degree. I'm talking about education meaning having a coach who's going to be able to talk to you, both a professional coach and a business coach who'll be able to talk to you and explain to you what these different things and that you're going to encounter, and really understanding the business or professional language. Having just understanding what those the terminology within both of those areas and what they mean, understanding how the process goes. So that's the education that I mean. And those are what you would typically find at your ESOs, your entrepreneur support organizations, where they'll provide that type of education for free majority of the times. I know we have our tech startup series where it's a small business program, and that's free to those residents of Orange County and the surrounding counties. But it teaches folks who are entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs those basic business foundation and basic business education. And then the third one I'll
Regarding
say is
tech, so for okay, wait, so stop there because
uh, uh,
I know you for a while now, and now because I'm not tech savvy. I mean
yeah,
I try, but yeah,
you
and
are,
so
you
I
are,
can take as in what I do, as an equity practitioner and
yeah,
multicultural marketing and all that. I can take this course with Black Orlando
yes,
Tech and learn.
yes, yes,
Oh,
yes. And the
okay,
thing
cool.
about
Because
it,
I'm
so
in
this is
Orange County. I'm in Orange
right,
County.
right.
Yeah.
And if you're not in Orange County, still reach out, because we want to make sure we help everyone. So this is the thing. Tech, like I said before, tech is everywhere. And so we have had individuals who've come into our program. They are a chef, but they want to
Mm,
create an app. You get what I'm
mm,
saying? So now they
yeah,
can go and take the course because the app is the tech side and they have the expertise as the chef. And so now we can
yeah,
help them create that. We've had individuals who are yoga instructors. Again, they want to create an app or they want to create a online platform because the digital space is it. They want to leverage that and create another stream of income. For those who have a business, and if you have not pivoted into the tech space for your business, you're missing out, because that's another. If the pandemic has showed you anything, is that you need to
yeah,
have multiple streams of income,
mm,
and you need to be also a flexible in your business. And so just like the pandemic shut it down and we weren't able to meet in person in real life, as everybody's saying now, those who did not have a digital presence lost out. If they didn't shut down their business, they had to at least close it down, or lay off people because they didn't
yeah.
have that presence. definitely need to get in there. But yeah, tech is everywhere. What you do is tech. I know it doesn't seem like it because you're like, oh, but really, no. What you're doing is tech. When you turn around and you create content, digital content, that is tech.
Okay.
So
And that's what you
yeah. So
mean
that's
about education, that people think it's
yes,
just coding. So
yes,
I'm kind of in, but yeah, but I want to take
yeah.
the
So
course anyway because
yes,
I'm
yeah,
sure there's an opportunity here that I just don't know because you don't know what you don't know, and I'm sure that by taking, right, the
yes,
course, I
yeah.
could probably, yeah, learn a couple of
Oh yeah,
things.
I'll tell you right now. The
Yeah.
one thing I'll say for you is NFTs and Web3. That's
Mm.
that's that's something that you'll need. I will definitely say for you to look into because you're
Yeah, but I'm
creating content.
afraid. It sounds so futuristic, right?
It
And
does, but
yeah.
that's where we're going. It's not going to go away, and so we have to take that with that fear behind us and really step
Yeah.
forward because it's not going to go away, and we can't wait until 10 years down the line, and then it's like, oh, now I want to get in, but everybody's in now. So
Yeah.
you keep hearing these stories like this one artist who took all her art and changed them into NFTs, and within 3 months made $1 million, and she
Mhm.
had not been selling her, low sales on her art. That's she was pretty sure she was afraid, but look what happened when she took that leap forward. I just had a
Yeah.
story that about a 10-year-old, and I'm like, I posted it and I said, if a 10-year-old can do it, we can do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that we have to take put that fear to the side and really push forward. And I'll tell you, it's not scary and it's actually pretty fun. It's really,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah, that's awesome. So you
yeah,
mentioned education, you mentioned the misconceptions, right? I
yeah,
guess fear, I just
yes,
voiced it, right,
yeah,
is another
yeah.
challenge. And then you kind of said
We're
money.
talking
So when you
money.
yeah.
Yeah, because especially when you think about entrepreneurs, the way that they have everything set up, when I say they, excuse me, entrepreneur support organizations, um, or the entrepreneur ecosystem itself, there's this thought of the process of entrepreneurship, especially when you have a startup. And part of that process is, when it comes to funding, is your friends and family round. And, this is one of the things I always push. It's like, number one, you have to meet people where they are. Not everyone has the same background. Not everybody's going to have the same journey. And so that's one of the biggest issues I see right now is that the thought is that every single future current entrepreneur, sorry, is starting off with the same uh, abilities, the same tools, and they're not. And so knowing that, why are we creating programs and systems that are for one type, if you will? And so we need to start understanding that everybody's, created differently. Everybody's coming from different backgrounds, and we need to create programs that are flexible for those
Mhm.
individuals. So one of those things is when it comes to funding, there's different stages. There's bootstrapping, and then first one, and the second one, bootstrapping is when you pay for the stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry. The second one is friends and family. Bootstrapping, friends and family, that is not an opportunity or realistic for people like me. It's not.
Mm.
Not all of them. There may be some
Yeah.
who had a great, have that opportunity for them. But I know that a lot of people like me do not have the opportunity. When you talk about friends and family, I like to tell people I am the rich auntie in my family. Meaning, if somebody has an idea and they need to ask somebody for some money to invest, in
They're
my
gonna come to
family, that
you.
would be me. That would be me. So how can I ask them for money? Because
Right.
you get what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I'm the one that they would ask. So I can't turn around and I don't have a friends and family who can turn around and invest in my idea. When we talk about bootstrapping, we have folks who are building businesses and are single moms. How are they going to bootstrap? That does
Yeah.
just because, and the thing about it is, just because they cannot fund their business, does that mean that that opportunity should not be provided to them or taken away
Mm.
from them? And so, because you have amazing people who are intelligent, have a something great innovation or idea that really needs to get out there, and you mean to tell me that we're not gonna, we're not allowing them that opportunity just because they can't fund it themselves? No,
Hmm.
that's not to me, that's not the American way at all. They should be able to create and build this, um their startup, with other funding resources. And so that's what we need to think about. What are the other alternatives? If you don't have friends and family, then what is an alternative? Angel investors. People don't understand that, though. They don't know that. They don't know what an angel investor is, or that they're out there. Maybe a VC is another alternative. But you got to, again, explain to, I'll tell you, not a lot of Black founders are not going to do VCs because they don't want to give away part of their company. Why? Because of history. We've
Hmm.
had businesses and companies and land stolen, and now you
Hmm.
want to say that a lot of they're creating this company, and you want them to turn around and give 10-20% of their company that
Yeah.
they're building for their family.
Yeah.
We need to understand why those um those thoughts are there, respect it, and then teach and show the different alternatives.
Yeah. And because
Mhm.
it is scary. It's happened to me twice already, where someone comes and says, "Hey, we'd like to absorb you." Or,
Yes.
and in
Yeah.
part it sounds exciting, and I'm like, "Wow, I feel wow. So I guess I
Yeah.
do got something going on over here,
Yeah.
right?"
Yep.
But then after pausing, it's like, "No. Like I don't
This
want
is
to,"
mine.
right?
Yep.
Because it's
This is
it's I
yours.
mean, yes, and
Yes.
so then I'm just not ready, right?
Exactly.
So,
I know.
and also it
Understand.
it depends on the people too that want to, right?
Of
Because I'm like,
course.
no, because then you're going to steal its identity, and we want to preserve its identity and its
Exactly.
gusto, right? And its flair.
Exactly.
And so,
Yep.
yeah,
because
yeah,
you're
that's a whole.
emotionally because you're emotionally tied to it. So that's the
Yeah.
other part of it. I'll tell you, when I started up my business, I emotionally tied to my business. But what I
Yeah.
realized is, again, as I educated myself, what I realized is, what I really want for my family is not the business, is the wealth, to generate the wealth for my family. I
Mhm.
can still generate that wealth, actually will probably generate more wealth if the business stays with our family or not. I had to look at my business differently because I'm the only person that's an engineer in my family. So if I do this
Mhm.
as a family business and how I initially set it up for, who's going to take it over? Not nobody in my
Right.
family right now, because nobody is a tech person. They are they are actually, majority of them are in the medical field. So who's going to take it over? So now I have to go and look at my business differently. I don't have someone that's coming down the line that's going to take it over. um what do I want to do? I want to create generational wealth. Well, I can do that because I'm smart. I have a lot of ideas. This is one business. I have plans for 10 more. Like, I had to look at it differently. And so
Mm.
now I'm now restructuring my business so that way um I can exit it. I have an exit plan. I started off this business without an exit plan. Now I have one. Now I'm creating one right now, to where if somebody wants to come and say, you know what, I like this. This is great. Making a great business model. You've done well for the last how many ever years. I want to purchase your business, and then I'm gonna be like, yeah, for the right amount, for the right amount, for the right
Mhm.
the benefits, incentives, you can definitely purchase my business, and then I can take that money and turn around and create another business. That's how, you know what I'm
True.
saying? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
totally. And that's the thing. I think also seeing other um people that are serial
yes,
entrepreneurs helps.
yes,
Yeah. When I took the training with Servola and CMET with Joe, with the Center for
yes,
Micro Entrepreneurial Training, they brought a keynote speaker at the end. And she's a serial entrepreneur, right? And she's a woman
yep,
of color, right? And I
yep,
was just like amazed,
wow,
right? And she was talking about how one business then fed into the other one. And I'm like, oh, you can do that, right? But the thing is, we don't have access, right, to people like
exactly,
this every single
yes,
day. And so
ex-
the more and more we get to have these conversations and expose ourselves, right, to these
yes,
unicorns that you mentioned, right?
yes, yes,
Then you
yes,
feel like it's a possibility for you.
exactly. Well, can you imagine? Now she's speaking to you where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what, and you're having these thoughts, can you imagine what impact she would have to a young person, or someone
Mm-hmm.
who is, has it's thinking about starting up their business and hasn't
Yeah.
started yet? That's the type of impact that we need to see and see happen. We need to also have that representation. That's why I always say we're not underrepresented. They're there. We just need to get them in front of the people that they need to be there. Get in front
Yeah.
of. They're
Yeah.
there. You gotta find them and make sure they're that. That's why I'm like, no, we're not underrepresented. We're underestimated. From
Yeah.
others. And so I love that you said that, because it's when you start getting access to that information and seeing the different ways and seeing the alternatives, it changes your mindset, and you're constantly on a mindset shift as you really sketch out and um, create that unique um, uh, journey for yourself, your own unique
Yeah.
journey. What is that going to look like? How does that play into your family? What do you want? What's the end result that you want? And so I love it, because again, it's always constantly changing, but it's changing for the better. It's getting
Yeah.
clearer. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the position we're at also as we grow our business is just reinvesting back into the community and creating opportunities where people can then develop their own thing is it's very cool, a very cool like I would love to do that, right? As we grow, being able to say, you know what, you have a good idea here, there you go,
Mm-hmm.
right? And get
Yep.
back to me when you make it happen, and then we'll talk,
Yep.
right, about
Yep.
because the thing is, like, sometimes if you're not part of our communities, you just don't get it or don't see the
Yeah.
potential. Like we were recently in
Yeah.
a meeting with an investor, right? That was trying
Yeah.
to give us an idea of what they're looking for to invest in, right?
Yeah.
And white male, in his 60s, I think, I want to say, right? And
Yeah.
so, one of the questions presented was, so what if the invest, because he was saying that what was it that they look at, viable products and services,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
only
Yes.
reason they would reject it or not
Yes.
invest in it is if they didn't understand it, or they're not interested, or they don't, it's a market or
Yeah.
an idea or a product that they don't know nothing about. And
Yeah.
so one of the questions posed was, but wait a second, what if it's an ethnic product, right? That
Exactly.
there is a need, and what, you're just going to discard it, right? It's again the underestimation. You're just going to discard it because
Exactly.
you don't understand it. So
Yeah.
he's missing out, right?
Yeah. And it's crazy, because the thing about it is, this is why it's so crazy to me. The data is there.
Yes.
So you're telling me that you don't even want to go and do the data. If somebody comes and brings an opportunity to me, uh, because I do invest in businesses, even if I don't know what it is, I'm gonna learn about it. Because why
Mm-hmm.
would I go sit there and pass on a good opportunity just because I don't understand? So you know, you get what I'm saying? Like I'm limited in my
Yeah.
understanding. I don't know everything in this world, and innovation happens. Um, Innovations is creating something new. So most times when it comes to you, you're not going to know anything about it. So why would you? And that's what boggles my mind. It's like why would you not? Why would you lose out on an opportunity? And this is where I go, the underestimation. It's not that you don't understand it, you just don't think it's good, because you
Yeah.
are underestimating me as a person of color to say, well, she's a Black female, I don't think she created anything amazing anyways, and I'm not going to take that step to research to see if this is something that could be profitable and investable. We've proven,
Right.
and the data's there. Just like I know you were talking, I'm trying to remember. It had to do with the opportunity where the person had a hair care product or a
Correct.
tool.
Yes.
How many, like, who doesn't know that when it comes to the beauty industry, that's very a lot of money in there when it comes to especially Black women. A lot of money
Mm-hmm.
in there, a lot of money to be made there. How can you not
Mm-hmm.
know this? And so,
Mm-hmm.
when stuff like that happens, I'm like, you know what? It proves to me that you weren't the right investor. If you can't take
Yeah.
that initiative to go and research, then that we didn't need your investment.
Yeah,
You're
totally. And
lost.
so that, to me, in that conversation, it really, to me, it like ticked me off, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and it
yeah.
made me decide. I think we had a conversation afterwards. I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what, I don't think I would want an investor,
At all.
right, in my
Yeah.
company, because if this is the attitude, right, and the thing is, it's like you're a data person, right? I
Hmm.
mean, that
Hmm.
comes also with the digital space and what you
Yeah.
do. So you're very much about crunching numbers, about
Yeah.
sustaining any kind of recommendation with the information, right, with
Exactly.
stats and all
Exactly.
of the research, and because you this is your world. And
Yeah.
so I agree with you. There's plenty of information
Yep.
regarding consumer products, and where we
Exactly.
over where Black women particularly and Latina women over
Yes.
index. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. I mean,
Exactly.
everything from makeup to hair
Yes.
products to
Yes.
fragrances to personal care to
Exactly.
even for baby products, because we overindulge, right? We overindulge on our children, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
all of that stuff, that sometimes we get the rolling of the eyes, like, oh my god, you're, I'm like really, and I'm like, yeah, really, I need the buns and the bows and
Yeah.
everything for my little
Yeah.
girl, right?
Yeah.
And all of this stuff. And so it's in food items, oh my
Hmm.
goodness, because we like food is part of
Yep.
our
And culture.
cultures, right? And
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
music, like entertainment, anyway. So we
Yeah.
could go on and on, but then it's finding the right people to talk to so they can become accomplices, right, and not just
Exactly.
investors or allies or whatever you want to call it,
Exactly.
right, that
Yeah.
really get it and are not how do you say, don't feel like we're how do you say, like that they don't feel like they're losing control over whatever it is
Exactly.
that they think that
Yeah.
they're losing
Yeah.
control of. Yeah, yeah. So how do you foresee the future, and of tech and the digital world, right? Let's say I want to take you 10, 15 years from now, when Black and brown communities are the global majority. What do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
see? What do you see? Because it's happening. That part,
It is.
that's going to go uncontested again, because the data says so, right?
Exactly.
So
That's what it
so
says.
don't
Um,
shoot the messenger, people. The census
she's so
says it.
silly.
Exactly.
I see Black and brown community leading the wave, the tech and innovation wave. I see us leading it. I see um, us really being a lot more confident in each other. I see us working together more. We're seeing these things now, just like how you said, the with Black Innovation Alliance, when we went to Washington D.C. A few weeks ago. That was not one organization. That was a combination of multiple organizations working together. That is going to be our key, working together. black and brown, even within the black community, working together, black and black American, black, Caribbean,
Caribbean.
African,
Yeah. Hmm.
exactly, black European. Like we have to work together in order to push forward and really excel in the things that we do. And so that's what I see. You know, I tell people, I said, it's not the lack of education, it's not the lack of innovation in terms of our minds and stuff. It's the lack of working together, and it's the lack of trust, and it's the lack of really being confident in ourselves and going forward. And also I think it's a little bit of lack of leadership. But again, I'm starting to see where we're pushing forward, and those leaders are popping out and coming out and really pushing forward. And so that's where I see us. I see us, and I also say with this, I think it's going to. I pray that it makes this world, especially this country, a better place. I think when we are when we those communities work together, we all work together and pushing that and leading that charge with innovation and tech. Um, because it's just going to make us better. And so I feel sad for those who continue to want things to be separated and not, everybody together. I'm positive. I feel positive that we're gonna see it definitely get better. Um, I also think I feel like we're gonna also see kids, the youth, really taking over, not like leading the charge. I really believe that, and that's fine. I know some people who are like, they're not keen to it, but it's like that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be the youth, and we need to go and support them. And we need to not be their blockers or their roadblocks. We
Hmm.
need to support them and encourage them and help them from the wherever we can, because they are the future. Period. So,
Yeah,
mhm.
totally. I totally agree with all of what you just said, and I feel like it's this togetherness that's
Yes,
going to,
big time.
to get us through, to
Yes,
the other side of this on
yes,
our 2 feet and just running, right?
yep,
Yes, totally.
yep,
One of the one of the things that actually made me cry during that press conference in Washington a couple of weeks ago was one of
mhm,
the presenters, and I can't remember her name, but she said she ended her remarks by saying, "For way too long, we thought we were all we had. And I'm
yeah.
here today to tell you that we're all we need."
He did.
And
Yes,
yeah, oh, that was
yeah.
like,
I
yeah,
know.
it was so
Amazing.
moving. Oh, it was amazing. So yeah, and I think that once we come to the realization, right, we're gonna be able to walk together, lock in step, and make this happen,
And the
and yeah,
and the way
for
we do
sure.
that, is starting just like how we're starting now.
Hmm.
We work on it and we show our group, Servola, Sammy, Nadia, Renee, Johanna, like we're working together, and then we show others, and they're like, wow, look at what they did working
Hmm.
together. And they're like,
Hmm.
let's do that. That's how it starts.
Yeah.
It's that domino effect, because
Hmm.
we're like, we were successful because we worked together, and now other folks are like, how did you do it? How can we do it? And we say, do what we did, and then you're going to start seeing that. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Thank you so much, Rose, for having this conversation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm excited. We should touch base, in a little bit and do almost like how do you say, a temperature check,
Yes,
right?
right. Yes. What's
Every six
happening
months is
now?
okay, Rose. How are
Yes.
we doing? Where are we now, right? And
Yes.
and yeah, and just make sure, because that by keeping each other in check and
Exactly.
is how we advance
I agree.
and move the needle. So thank you so much for making
Thank
this time to
you.
have this conversation.
Thank you so much. It was awesome.
This concludes this episode of I Have Something to Say. We want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. We're on Spotify and iTunes as well. There's more to come next week. And remember, if you have something to say, it's time to speak up.